Welcome, everyone. Dr. Rob is joining tonight for the live Q&A with Dr. Rob. It makes sense. We've got questions starting already, which is great. So this is from an anonymous attendee. 4 years of trying to work with my husband after lying and gaslighting me. So this has to be a betrayed partner about cheating twice. Not full-blown affairs, but definitely a sexual encounter and pushed boundaries. I felt like I was done due to very little effort. I asked for a divorce. Now I'm starting to see the change he promised after asking. However, I caught him using porn again, but only because he said he thought we were done. Anyway, I got scared and wasn't sure if I wanted a divorce and asked for a pause since we haven't even filed yet. Again, I'm left confused because I did ask to end things, but now I asked to wait for a bit before we file. I'm still not sure what I want. I'm trying to take it one day at a time, but I'm tired of the constant indecisiveness. I'm scared the change was for him and not really for us, but I don't want to miss working on a relationship that could even become better.
So I would love to take this on, and I'm looking forward to it. But what I want, and I'm not usually be specific, but I wondered if you would answer the last sentence because I was thinking that would be right up your alley.
Yeah, I mean, the whole thing is,
Right. All right.
so
I'll
well, yeah,
surrender.
no, like I was thinking, I do lots of webinars, and we did one with we've done a lot of them, but I'm thinking of one in particular where she talked about she filed pretty soon, pretty quickly, and she divorced, and it was absolutely the right thing for her. And then she was in a group with other partners, and the other one was I waited too long, and they both had that indecisiveness. They were both questioning their decisions. And so I understand you're questioning, what do I even want to do? And I've got some resources I will post this, should I say, or should I go in a moment. But it isn't that black and white. And I know you want it to be like, I'm gonna do this. Um eh, 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 Even if you choose to stay or go, it's still a path. Like, if you leave, it isn't like, oh, I divorced him, so now everything's better. It's still grief and loss and all of this. So there's still all the stuff, the messy stuff to address. We have a drop-in group for partners who have been left, or have one foot out the door, moving on alone. The focus is not about how do we fix the relationship? What do I need to do to stay in it? Maybe you go check that one out. It's on Thursday afternoons. That might be something for you to consider. We did a series on should I stay or should I go? And there's some useful information for that too. Um, and I will go to Dr. Rob always says, don't say you're going to do something if you're not, able to follow through. So it was bad enough. And he also started to change. But Dr. Rob wants to talk about that. So I'm going to go pull some resources while Dr. Rob is talking about that.
Okay. Well, there's lots to talk about here,
There
and
is.
what I really value is your vulnerability because you could say you're talking about really questioning a decision you made and kind of going back and forth, and I think that's hard. That's just hard to say. I think, especially with such serious issues. Anyway, so I just have questions all the way through. And again, I want to remind you that Tammy and I do not know you. We don't know your situation. We don't know your family. And anything we say is in a generalizable way. What is that? Generalized
Generalized.
way
Mhm.
so that we can answer the question to our best of our abilities. So that's my little caveat. So I wonder, first of all, what is not a full blown affair? Because, in my opinion, if someone has seen someone a couple of times and if they've ever gone to dinner, if they've ever shared personal information, if he's ever said, you know how unhappy my marriage is, he's having an affair. And so I think this idea that they have to be romantic in love and it has to be long term and there has to be affairs. I had a guy say to me, well, that wasn't an affair. I said, well, he said, just you, just a sex worker. I said, okay, well, how many times did you see her? 14. Okay, did you ever have dinner? Did you ever go to the movies? Well, as a matter of fact, we went away one weekend. Okay, that's an affair. So number one and number two, and I'm just gassed up tonight. I think he's still lying to you. Why in the world would he not? You said, well, you didn't say this, but I'm guessing you found out about this. And I'm thinking he didn't come marching forward to you and say, oh, I just feel so bad. I want to let you know that I was having an affair. I'm sure you found something. So it's not exactly, he's not exactly forthcoming. Number, I'll skip the ask for divorce part. Um, I'm starting to see the change he promised. Well, maybe that's what you're seeing, but that doesn't
Mm.
mean that that's actually what he's doing. He may have learned how to please you, how to make you feel good, how to say the right things, how to keep you looking over there when it's really going over here. And the whole thing about I only caught him while he because he said we were done, and I'm thinking, well, that's what you caught him in. But who, and I hope he's here, by the way. I don't know what else he did, but I'm guaranteeing it wasn't anything that you hadn't already found. We have a saying, a little bit of thought, which is when you spouses find something and we say, oh, no, no, that's it, there's more. There's always more with our gentlemen. In fact, there's things I find out after pushing and pushing, pushing that didn't come into treatment for us to find out. So anyway, did you know, Tammy, that therapists lie to us in treatment? And they lie to their
Therapists lie or
therapist. And
clients lie to
no, oh, I'm sorry,
therapists?
clients. Well, it's a whole different
Yeah,
issue
I was going to
for
say that
another.
would not be
No, that wouldn't
okay.
be good.
So yeah.
Did you know that our clients lie to the therapist, to the group? They lie to their,
Yes.
not just us, they lie in their 12-step programs?
Yes, I
Okay.
actually do know that. Right now, the record of somebody coming to residential treatment that I know of was 11 years of going to their therapist and lying before they came to seeking integrity. So there
And
could be
I,
someone that is higher than that, but I know about that one.
and I know someone who sponsored several people and was running a 12-step program and they were lying. Anyway, I'm
Yeah,
sorry. We
yeah.
lie. We lie and we lie and we lie more and it doesn't matter why. We just do. Um, I was scared and I wasn't sure I wanted a divorce, and so I asked for a pause. Why wouldn't you be scared? And by the way, why wouldn't you want to hope that things were better or that these things weren't going on until you found the porn? Why, when you love someone, I wrote a book about this actually. When you love someone, you don't want to think the worst of them, you want to think the best of them. And so, someone else, and I always say this to you spouses, if anyone ever says to you, well, how could she not know or how could he not know? I say, well, why would they want to know? Who would want to know that someone they love is betraying them? Who would want to know that their son is the one who is writing violent things? They would say, oh, no, 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 my son. Well, of course, you don't want to look at it that way. When we love people, we want to see the best in them. So I just, I understand that it may not be comfortable for me to sell you to, God, I'm like all over the place. It may not be comfortable for me to say, I think there's more, but I've been doing this a while. Um, As far as your indecisiveness, I think you have to think of your motivation. And this is a hard one, especially in these circumstances. If I threaten him, then he will change. Well, that's not a reason for you to, let me try it this way. If I tell him I'm going to do something, if he doesn't change, as Tammy said, you better do it. Because we learn really fast. Oh, they're going to say this, but they won't do it. So I'll just keep doing what I'm doing. So he learned from you that when you get upset and you're really doubting, you want to get away from, you want to have a divorce. When things are going better, you're indecisive about it. Understandable. He learned that lesson. So I'm starting to see the change after you asked for a divorce. I'm just thinking that that was his way of saying, don't. And obviously you bought it, but he's probably very good. Um, I was going to go back to the reasons for doing it. The reason to do this is never, and I think you've been sold on this. If I say I'm going to do something that's would make him very unhappy, then he'll change. And he may change or he may not change, but that is not the reason for you to make those decisions. And I'm glad you're confused because, and this is straight out of Tammy. Oh, I love working with you. This is straight out of Tammy's mouth, which is if you're going to make those decisions, you have to make them for yourself. If you say, well, if this happens, I'm kind of out. Oh, wait, that happened, I'm in. You'll never be able to take care of yourself. You have to decide whether this happen, if this ever happens again, or if this keeps happening, is this a situation I want to be in? Do I feel safe? Do I feel disrupted? Am I constantly looking for him to lead me into staying or going? If you look at him to help you feel better, when he goes up, you'll feel better. When he goes down, you won't. And so you have to find, not easy to say, in some way, in the groups Tammy's talking about, in self-care, in a whole bunch of ways, you have to figure out what is pain that you don't want to be in and what you are willing to take on for you. But if you say, if he does this, then I will, you're going to be lost not only for yourself, and you're confused, but he's also got you by the tail. So the other thing, and by the way, so you're scared the change was for him and not for us. Good for you. That's called your gut. And I would follow that. So I have a suggestion. And again, don't know you, never met you. There's a reason why people have formal separations. There's a reason why people take time out from a relationship and say, I'm not sure what I want to do. So I'm going to be here and you be there. And, maybe we'll go to therapy once a week, or maybe we'll do XYZ, and it's planned out and it's organized. And it gives you time to think about what makes me feel good for me. Maybe you'll find out you enjoy being alone. Maybe you'll find out the constant worry. I have had many a man come to a residential treatment because we have an amazing treatment center, and say, my wife was kind of glad I left because she realized that she needed time for herself. And she didn't want me around all the time. And so she couldn't wait till I left. She could feel safe because we are with them 24/7. So maybe is something between divorce and living in this uncertainty that might be a useful path. And we have some colleagues who wrote a workbook on therapeutic separation, is what it's called. We also have Tammy made a video. I did some podcasts. You might consider learning more about that. Um, what I hear mm, what I hear is you want happiness and you want peace and you want your marriage to be what you want it to be. And I hope that you get that, but you can't do it on your own. And if I were talking to him, it wouldn't be he got better, he got worse. If what make me stay was he's going to therapy, he's going to 12-step meetings, he's gone to a treatment program, he's gone to that you see him, and not just once, you see him actively working every single day. This is the only thing, folks. Well, I'll just go back and say this. Relationships backbone is trust. You don't have trust, everything else goes out of the window because you don't know why they're saying what they're saying, what anything means. You don't have trust. The only way, I hope you're all listening, the only way to restore trust is by watching behavior. It isn't that I say I love you. It isn't that I say I'll never do this again. It isn't that I wrap my arms around you. It doesn't matter because we lie. The only thing that will show you the reality of our commitment is our commitment, and nothing else will. So words don't matter, actions do. I would think about, if I won't be comfortable, sorry, Tamazula here, I won't be comfortable living here with you or you here with me if I don't see you taking actions that help me learn that you help me see that you are taking on this commitment. Because when you say in, out, up, or down, I don't know that the truth is. So, and if I don't see you doing those things, I will feel unsafe. And for me, I might need to be in a bit different situation. So I love this question. By the way, you are welcome to send him to me. Send him to treatment. I will be more than glad to gently help him understand the family that he's throwing away. And I'll say this one more thing. I was just writing to someone. My favorite word in the language is home. My favorite four-letter word in language is home. The men I work with don't understand that. They run away from home when they should be running toward it. And only the two of you can figure out if this is the home. Only you can figure out if this is the home you want to be in. Um, and Tammy, is there a nicer way to say people in hell on ice water? I know that that's not nice.
Yeah, no, it's basically that. So yeah,
You
but
may desire, dream for, hope for, remember
I
when it
know.
was, but it isn't. And
Yeah.
anyway, we'll go on. But
No,
I feel love and care
no,
for you.
I pulled some more resources. So I did put the residential treatment program. I pulled the video for therapeutic separation, and that could, just like Dr. Rob said, be really helpful for you to be more grounded. It isn't posted yet, but on the previously recorded webinars, last week's weren't, but Debbie McCrae did a great one on the safety of boundaries. And then I posted the Should I Stay or Should I Go series. Real recovery. Let's talk. 2 to 5 years. It's not just like, oh, for the last 3 weeks, he's been doing something. Anybody can do that. Any addict can do that long enough to so it takes commitment and then there is a healthy boundaries for betrayed partners work group starting this month. I think it's next week. In fact, I know it's next week. So that would be fantastic and super supportive, for you. But somebody, one of the webinar guests talked about hopiness. I love that because,
Ooh,
yeah, I know it's a great
I
word, isn't
love
it?
that.
Yeah, I know. It's
I
like,
mean, I don't love
yeah,
it, but
no, but the partners have the hopiness of like, he's finally going to get it. And then we're going to be happy. And if you are waiting to be happy and base your security on an addict that has a long ways to go, it's a house of cards, we have to choose to do the recovery work for ourselves. You can maybe the initial instigator of it, but at some point, if we're willing, we're going to take ownership of it. We're going to understand that we, just like Dr. Rob said, home is really important. We just miss that. We're holding out all these insignificant things. I did want to comment on the I caught him using porn again, but only because he thought we were done. Like, if he really cared about being on a recovery path, like, it would be the opposite. I would be like, oh my gosh, I've lost a relationship that was so important to me. I need to do everything I can. But it's like, oh, I thought we were done, so I'm going to go do whatever it is I want to do. You're like, that's addict thinking. Like, that is addict thinking. So there's somebody deeply entrenched. And would he be best served with our residential treatment program? Absolutely. One more idea, and I didn't put a link in this. You can email tami@seekingintegrity.com. But Dr. Rob does a one-time
I've
2-hour
seen that.
expert consultation for
Hmm.
couples. You guys are like perfect candidates for that because he's really good at discerning what's going on, in the relationship and giving guidance, for what the issues are for the two of you, specifically for the two of you, not what other people, so consider that, it is not therapy, it is not treatment, but he is very good. He's worked with couples around the world. So again, email me if you would like more information on that. So,
I want to say just one more thing, which is I was trying to think about why I have so much energy about this question. And it's because I feel her love for him.
yeah,
I can
yeah.
feel
And
it.
the
It comes,
hope that
and
he's
it,
finally going to get it. He's going
right.
to finally get it. And
And
we're
then
going to,
we're
like,
going
then I'm
to
going to get the
be,
good stuff. I've
right,
been through all this. Now we're going to get
right,
the good stuff,
right. Well, you
you
didn't have the
know?
good stuff before. You were just being lied to.
I
But I
know, but now,
really,
like, there's a possibility of good
and I
stuff.
can make that happen,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Anyway, I just feel the love coming through. And I know so many of you, please, partners, do not beat yourselves up because you stayed, because you tried to work things out, because we're not saying that, that we are saying that once you know all of this is going along, then you are a volunteer about how you want to live your life. But if you don't blame yourself for not knowing, don't blame yourself for missing it. Don't, what I do is I celebrate you for loving, and I'm sure he isn't always the nicest, kindest person, and you hung in there anyway. I do want to say two things. If you look now, I'm pointing at it right. Every single video, every single support group, every single the educational groups, they're all on seekingintegrity.com, and most of it is free. So please, find the "Am I divorcing or not" group, find the "Betrayed Partners" work group, my stuff, whatever it is. By the way, those of you who may not know it, my podcast is called Sex, Love, and Addiction. Sex, Love, and Addiction. That's where you'll find these conversations I've had with so many professionals about. We talked about collaborative divorce. We call about separation. We've talked about men's sexuality. We've talked about addiction in so many ways. We talk about betrayal. These kinds of conversations are ones that I don't think you are probably going to hear in a lot of places. And we're very open. Well, I am very open, and I pick really good people because Tammy screens them. So anyway, I invite you to do that. It'll cost you nothing except some time.
Yeah. Well, and with all of those, but here clearly, I hear people going like, "Well, he's listening to podcasts. Big deal." Like that I can read a book, I can listen to a podcast, I can watch a video, and you know what? Probably will forget by the time I leave the screen. So it's like what changes things is connection with others, and we need a tribe of people who we need accountability. And I was just talking to somebody before this, and like, your partner is not your accountability person. You each need separate people. This is complex stuff. And so, getting the right help changes everything. I put, if you're not joining live, if you're watching this afterwards, come join us live. Then you get to see all the things that I'm putting in the chat, that are easy to connect to, and you can ask questions. But otherwise, email me, and I will do my best to provide you with the resources that we'll be specific, to the questions. I do get, Dr. Rob, a lot of questions like, you said something about something in one webinar, and I have to go, what was I saying? And
Oh
figure
my
out what
God.
it is.
Well, it's even worse. I would do a talk because it kind of comes through me, and people
Hmm.
would just say, "What did you say before?" I'm like,
Hmm.
"Well, I don't know," because I was kind of in it.
Yeah.
Tammy brought something up. I'm so sorry, but this is such a great question. Feelings, you can write this down.
Hmm.
Feelings are not facts.
Hmm.
Feelings are not facts. So if it were me, I would sit down with a friend and I would say, under these circumstances, I will not be able to stay. And when they start happening, you say, I can't do this for me. What you can't do is say, well, if he's doing this or he's doing that, or because who knows what's really happening out there. So, or if I have hope, hope, what did you say? What was the great word? Hope,
Hopiness,
hopiness. If I feel
like
hopeful,
happiness, only hopiness.
which is a mixed bag. If
Hmm.
you say, "Well, I'm seeing this and I'm seeing that," and so I'm really, but what you're seeing is he's just found you found out about the porn and you were lied to about it. Well, that's on a piece of paper, and that's much easier to rely on and not talk yourself out of. Okay. Oh,
Next
one more
question.
thing. You
Hmm.
can volunteer for misery. I
Hmm.
have no problem with your saying, you know what, I can accept this, I can live with this. To me, it isn't about right or wrong or good or bad. It's really about what you can live with. And I don't say to any spouse, you need to leave or stay because this is going on, but know what you're volunteering for. Know what's going to be coming up if you stay and know it's a decision for yourself. Okay, I'm done now.
Next question is a really interesting one. They're all interesting. Don't get me wrong, but I've got two two minds on this one. Fortunately, I am restarting my recovery after 5 years of sobriety. I didn't, or I did a recovery slide and take a back burner, and I let my it's a little typo. I did let recovery slide and take a back burner in life. I completely relapsed with porn and infidelity. I've lost touch with so many of the people that supported my recovery, and I feel like I want to start fresh. How is it appropriate to make new contacts and fellows in recovery?
Well, if something is working before, I suggest you go back and keep doing it. Nobody's going to say to you, and maybe I didn't get this question right. Nobody's going to say to you, "Oh, well, you were working on this before, and here you are, you're back. You didn't get it." They're going to welcome you with open arms, and they're going to say, "We're so glad you're here, and we so encourage you." Whether it's that person who worked with you, whether it's going to support group, whether it's a therapist, everybody's hoping, praying for the person who comes back in the room and says, "I was struggling and I'm back." So if something worked for you, go back and don't just do that, do more of it. Um, and again, accountability. I have people in my life, both professionals and people in recovery, who will say, "Gee, I haven't seen you in a while." Or used to come every Thursday, or this is the part of taking commitments in 12-step meetings and showing up, is that people will say, "Gee, where have you been?" And I guarantee you that one of those people that you were connected with or getting lost touch with so many of the people that supported my recovery, I'd bet dollars to donuts. I don't even know what that means. I'd bet dollars to donuts that at least one of those people called or wrote and said, "Haven't seen you in a while. I was thinking about you," or something like that. So it isn't as difficult as you think. You just go back to what you were doing and do more of it. Anyway, that's my feedback. Do you have anything, Tammy?
Oh, I do, because I was like, well, I can see wanting new, but it feels like I want to avoid having to be accountable to the people that used to know me. So I'm with Dr. Rob. It's like I hate it when people relapse. Thank you for the reminder that if you backslide, this is what's going to happen. It does. It's like it does. So yeah, but I'm glad you're back. So, I would encourage both. Like I would encourage both. Go back
Mhm.
to the same meetings that you were going to. Go back and do, like do the sex addiction 101. I mean, start fresh. Do the 12 steps over. Like this is not like, well, I already did them, so I don't. No, this is like I need to start at the very beginning and get a solid foundation, and I need to remember why this is so important on a day-to-day basis to choose recovery. And then guess what? If you're going to 12-step meetings, you're going to meet some new people. So it's both, like the groups I go to, thank goodness there's new people that keep coming in, and then there's some of us old timers, but we get both, like that's great. And sharing your story, about like, yeah, I let it backslide. You can be you can be someone that goes, yep, it like here's I was
Right.
doing good, and then I chose to let it backslide. I did not prioritize my recovery. I know for sure, I
Hmm.
have to on a daily basis. I have to prioritize this, or I've got nothing. So I think it's both, and I think redo some of the things that worked for you before, and but like I said, check out the work groups, the
Yeah.
Sex Addiction 101, and start with part one, like, because get a really solid three-circle plan, because something happened back in the day where you went, oh, I wasn't paying attention to that middle circle, so look at you said, fortunately, I am, and I'm going like, good. You are looking at this as a positive that I'm back, and you're going to choose to do it differently. So, like, your story will be valuable to others. So, connect.
I do want to say something else, which is I've worked with many people who they didn't want to go to therapy. They didn't want to go back to their meetings. They didn't want to come to treatment because they said, I'm just going to fail again.
Mm,
And their real reason for restarting is they didn't want to fail. And I just want you that there is always, always, as long as you're on this earth, another opportunity to grow. I guess there's one more thing that I was thinking about is there's a lot of focus on you here in on the surface underneath. And I was thinking how many people in those rooms, the 12-step rooms, would benefit from your saying, I really struggled and I fell on my face and I should have stayed and maybe you should too. I would hear that and think, oh my God, he's right. So it may also be the benefit that you give to others and not simply about your own recovery. By the way, people come up to you and say, thank you for saying that. I really appreciate it. It
mhm,
reminded me.
mhm.
So it is the gift that never stops giving. Anyway, please continue.
Okay, so betrayed partner 6 months post D-Day. Husband is sober and doing recovery after 10 years of acting out, 30 years together. My question is how to think about the fact that he not gotten caught acting out by me, he'd still be doing it, and how I'm supposed to try and trust him since he only stopped because he was caught. I'm so confused and torn. So you're 6 months against 30 years. Of course you're confused and torn. The challenge is, like like that. I hear you with the question, and you're right. He would have kept doing it, because that's what addicts do, is we keep doing the same things that we have been doing for a long time. So yes, there now was an incident. There was a discovery day, and he is doing recovery work. So I will go pull it because I know where the video is. But Dr. Eddie Caparucci did a webinar, and he quoted Dr. Gabor Mate, who's well known in the field. And the gist of it was, you can't make what happened unhappen. You have today, and the trauma, if you choose the trauma, like Dr. I was talking about, you can choose the misery, but what you're doing today and doing into the future is the trauma. So I'm going to share that with you. And I'm going to preface it with, you had discovery 6 months ago. He knew all along what he was doing. So you are really new in this. And I wonder if you could just give yourself some grace to go, like, yep, that's something. And you may or may not ever know, it happened. Now you know. And what I hear is, he is sober and doing recovery work, so he's finally doing the work. So he finally had, I say often, addicts don't change until the pain of change is less than the pain of staying the same. We won't change if we don't get caught, like, or if there's not some get caught or have some consequence. And he did, and he is choosing to do something that will change things. Your healing is way behind his, because again, he knew the whole time, you didn't. And so I would invite you. We have work groups for betrayed partners. The healthy boundaries one, can be super helpful, because it also includes internal boundaries of, like, I'm going to stay regulated. I'm not going to let my mind spin on that question that's probably unanswerable. So I'm going to choose to do the things that I need to do to take care of me, in the now. We have lots of resources for you. I shared, we've got, besides webinars and drop-in groups, we have, yeah, well, we have support sessions, as well, 25 or 50 minutes. If you don't have a qualified, person to support you, consider that as a starting point. It's not, it isn't therapy, but there's others that work, but when I work with somebody, I'm looking for what does this person need. I'll give them resources, and I'll also give them options for qualified professionals to support them on the journey. So you're not alone. What I hear is really heartening, though, that he's finally doing the work that is needed, that he can be on a different path.
Well, there's a couple of things I just don't know this. When you say he's doing the work, what is that? It can be many things. Is he going to therapy? Is he going to 12-step groups? I think, and this is one of the reasons I think Tammy recommends the Betrayed Partners group, is I think you'll begin to see what would that help you to feel better, what kinds of things is the work versus not the work. And by the way, we're having a lot of the trainings, the work group start up in March. So that's why you're hearing this. I did want to say something about trust. It's the way you've experienced is gone. The trust you've had, the naive, understandably naive trust that he would never go out the door and hurt you, that he would never knowingly do what would hurt you, what he knows would hurt you, that he would never go out the door and deliberately do something that if you found out would so be destructive. That's the belief, that's the hope we have in all of our partners. But once over and over again for so many years, you find out that the relationship was never what you thought it was. And trust is broken. And it may be restored, as we said, through actions that he engages in or things that he does differently. But the way you looked at him, it's never going to be the same. Maybe better, maybe different, but that trust, the kind of trust you're talking about, will never, ever come back. It's going to be different, but it's not going to come back. And I think that's a very painful thing. Every time they leave, what am I thinking? Where did they go? It fades and gets better over time if we're doing our jobs, but it's not going to feel the same as it did. And that is something to grieve over. So I got that one.
Okay. So the next one, hi to both of us. I'm a betrayed partner. This is a question, but also a comment. I'm so freaking grateful for what Seeking Integrity has done for my marriage. Thank you. I know it's a long journey, but we have hope. Here's my question. Recently, we did a check-in and we revisited our boundaries. No particular reason, just felt in our hearts we should. I noticed how powerfully different it was reviewing boundaries again. I was less triggered and could actually hear him better. Why was this?
Well, I want to go back to what you said about one of the things that we do in the program that we created, the residential program, and I feel really good about this, is that we have a separate therapist for the partners. So, the guys would feel unsafe, like I'm telling you this, and then you're talking to my partner, and I don't know. So and the partners just feel lost. I can't tell you how many programs that partners will say, well, he left for a month and I heard something at the end. And, you have an opportunity every week to engage us. And there are opportunities to do, one of the things we do with partners online together is boundary sessions, where before you go home, client, we say to the partner, what are your boundaries? Well, you have to be doing this. You have to be doing, I don't want you doing that. Like, I don't want you coming home after 6. Okay, I can agree with that. So boundaries are set up before you leave. So and by the way, I appreciate, I don't know if you saw me close my eyes, but when I hear that this program we created was helpful, it's just really touching. And I'll say to all of you that what really touches me, your situation or not, is your children, and how many of them, or your grandchildren, or will have a different experience of you as a couple, of you individually, because you're doing this work. Talking about revisiting. So boundaries are things that you set. We do it in treatment. That talk about what you feel safe with and what you don't, and he'll talk about what his commitments are to recovery. And yeah, you went back in and you looked back and you said, okay, this is something we did 3 months ago, a year ago when you were in treatment. I want to go back and take a look and see if that still applies. By the way, to every addict who's been in treatment, go look at your treatment plan. One of the things we do at Seeking Integrity is when you leave, you have a list of what you need to do in the world. I have to go to this many meetings. I have to go to this many therapy sessions. I have to go back and look and say, am I still doing these things? Because one of the major sources of relapse with us addicts is I know they told me to do those things, but that was a few months ago and I'm doing so much better. And I don't really want to go on this day. And all of a sudden, little teeny pieces of it slip away. When we know you and we work with you for a month, or you're in a support session or whatever it is, what we say, I'm not good at a whole bunch of things. I can't tell you what to do with your broken arm, but I can tell you what you need to do around this. And to both the partners, each one of you individually. For the addicts, once you got a plan, follow it. And for you spouses, if you don't see it being followed, I would question it. And I'll say one more thing about that, which is, spouses, it is not your job to nag or look over our shoulder or around what we're not doing. Well, you said you were going to go to that thing. Well, I'm looking, it's 4 o'clock and you're not, it's our job to make the decision to go take care of ourselves. You should not have to feel like, oh, I'm worried, are they doing this? Or, I may say I'm going to an online meeting at 5 o'clock, or I'm going to watch Tammy and Rob. And then you should walk by and see it, because we've already agreed to do it. It's not because you said, I thought you were going to do this, or you said our job in part is to help you feel more safe, not for you to keep guessing about what we're doing. So yeah, I'm glad you went back. And by the way, the check-in, is something that we create with you guys. And the fact that you went back to it is still helpful. Again, Cami, I'm so grateful. People say, oh, I'm so grateful you guys are here. They don't understand what it does for us.
Yeah. No,
They
yeah.
really don't. And that's okay.
I was talking to somebody today, like they were trying to get me to do, something. And I was like, I'm closer to retirement. And he was like, I'm so jealous. It was a 20-something person, I think. And I was like, but I love this work. I have no wanting to stop. Like, this is really meaningful to me, when we can be a little tiny piece of, people, finding help, whatever that looks like. It doesn't have to be that you, stay together and everybody gets recovery. But like, I've set a boundary. I know I'm taking care of me regardless of what is happening. So, okay. So the next one, Dr.
Wait,
Rob,
you know what
is
else, Tammy? We get to sit and talk to each other for an hour a week for 18 years or how long we've been doing this. So it's nice to see you. Okay, so what you got?
Okay, so the next one is 2 parts and it skips over 1. So it says, hi,
Okay.
Tammy and Dr. Rob. My husband disclosed in a 2-year trickle disclosure about having hundreds of infidelities during the whole marriage with men and women, says he was bisexual, goes to therapy for sex addiction and addiction to prostitutes, admits he had also several 30-plus year long sexual and romantic relationships during the whole marriage, a secret bank account, and told me he had sex with people even while I was sleeping. Then he comes to seeking integrity and says, so skip down, that it says that these things are not true and it was just a porn addiction. Then he comes back and tells me, let's just pretend that none of it is true. What do I do?
Well, let me just say this. I'm so sorry about this. And what makes me sorriest is that when you have a spouse that goes to treatment, you should. And I think when you hear us extol the virtues of what we do, I understand having an expectation that it's going to get better and everything's going to be fine. And they, because we know so much, and doctor, we are going to be able to fix it. We offer, and I absolutely believe this, we offer a roadmap, looking back about where you've been, looking forward to where you're going to go, looking at the effect of it and all of that. We give you every tool. I really believe this, every single tool you need to heal. But we don't cure anybody. And the rubber hits the road when you go home. We can teach you. I can learn, oh, it's a terrible metaphor. I can go to lots of cooking classes, but when I'm home alone and I need to cook something, I either do or I don't, or either keep learning or I don't. I have learned something, and now, or even piano lessons. This is silly. I took years of piano lessons. I didn't do very well because I didn't practice in between lessons. I had the opportunity. I just didn't take it. The other thing I feel, these are my feelings, is terribly sad for him that he did all that effort and all that commitment and took all that time. I don't know whether he did it for you or for himself, but the loss of opportunity, to actually live a different life. I think that's a tragedy. Tammy, I don't even want to talk about this. I want you to talk about, like, so he said, I came back treatment and now this is okay. And now this didn't happen. And sort of really reworking, by the way, that would make me insane if I were a partner. What is that?
I don't buy at all that it was just a porn addiction. Like, people don't say all the other stuff over a couple of year period of time. And, but here's the key to this. Then comes back and tells me, let's just pretend none of it is true. Like, this is somebody who's deeply in denial. And I'm with Dr. Rob. Like, I hate when people come to our or any residential program, but our residential program in particular, because I used to answer the phone and there were so many people who could not come that wanted desperately to get help. They would have given their eye teeth. That's another old saying, to be able to come and get treatment, and they couldn't. And then we have somebody who comes to treatment, and like Dr. Rob says, all the tools are laid out at their feet, and they're just stepping right on over them. I'm going to ignore all those and go off and do my merry old way thing, going right back to, that's deep, deep denial. Now, and the reasons, shame, whatever, it doesn't matter. You are saying, what do I do? Dr. Rob, mentioned earlier, you can stay in the relationship. How do you do that and hold healthy boundaries for you? Like, lots of people stay, particularly in long-term relationships, even if the addict is still acting out. I don't believe for a second he's not acting out. He's got zero kind of recovery. He may be abstinent on something, but I would look at this person as a person in active addiction. They are not doing any kind of recovery work. So how do you take care of you when that is happening, so that your focus is not on him? He's going to choose to do what he's going to do. Some people choose to be roommates, and they can still have dinner together and do everything, whatever. You get to pick, from that standpoint. But this is a person who is, it is not willing, because was given all the tools. And in 12 step, we talk about, it's a simple program. It isn't easy, because we're looking to change our entire life, and do things in a very different way. But we do need to be honest with ourselves. And he's not willing to be honest with himself. And you can't pretend something didn't happen. I mean, that is such massive denial, and he wants you to buy in on it. And I would invite you, get to pick. I can't tell you what to do or not do, but I'm sure going to invite you, to have a really strong reality check in on, I have an active addict. What am I going to do to take care of me? If you haven't done so, the healthy boundaries, including internal boundaries, I will mention that again. I am not going to betray myself, even if this person is unable to, show up and do work. In 12 step, one of the sayings is, there are some people who are constitutionally incapable of being honest with themselves, and there are such unfortunates. That's how they call it. There are such unfortunates, and that is sad. But that does not mean you have to go down the toilet with them. Like, you don't have to. It's hard. I'm not saying this is easy, but you can choose to go, I am going to take care of me. I'm going to find my joy regardless of what this person does or doesn't do. So if we can be of help, reach out. So
I wanted to just throw a couple of things in there, which is, I am so sorry that you were given the hope that, and I said we don't have a magic wand, but we do offer that you have the hope that maybe if he does this work, and by the way, you do have to pay for treatment. It isn't free. You do have to take time out. You, the partner, are stuck home all on your own with all the responsibilities. It doesn't sort of happen. And when Tammy's talking about they'd give anything to come, it means they don't have the time or the money. And I wish
usually the money. So yeah.
Well, yeah, whatever it is. And that's why
Yeah.
I offer all this free stuff, because you will hear me say often, 90% of you will never be able to necessarily go to therapy or treatment center, but at least, you can learn and have options for how to change. But anyway, what I would do is interesting. I would go back to your boundaries that you made when he was in treatment, because I just said, when our male client, we don't treat women, when the guy is getting ready to leave, he and his spouse sit down with a therapist or two online, and the partner says, these are the things that I'm willing to put up with. These are the things I'm not, this is okay with me. This isn't. And the addicts have to say, negotiate. Yeah, that's okay. I can do that. Or, I'm not sure how to do that. And it is worked out. It is very clear on a piece of paper. And so I really recommend that you go back and you look at the boundaries that you set when he was in treatment, rather than what he is doing or isn't doing, is what he's telling you. Look at the commitment you made to yourself about what was make you happy and you feel safe. And then I think you have to see what it means if that's not happening, or if that you're being betrayed. By the way, the hardest part for me, Tammy, and all this is the gaslighting.
Yeah.
Because I would lose my mind if someone I loved been through all this said, well, maybe it wasn't that big a deal, or I'm not sure that part really happened. I mean, this is someone who's choosing to try to make you crazy. By the way, it means he's gone back to his behavior
Yeah.
for sure.
I really feel like that too.
I do want to say something else, which is helpful, I think. So some of you say, is my partner a sociopath?
Mm.
Are they just incapable of do they have no remorse? They don't care. They just hurt people. So two things. If I'm an addict and I hurt you, you are collateral damage. I didn't intend to hurt you. I didn't want to hurt you. I was avoiding the thought of hurting you, but you got hurt anyway because I'm so crazy and I was doing all this stuff. Um, if if you get hurt because I want to hurt you or because I know it's going to hurt you and you already know we've discussed it and I keep doing it, that's cruel. That's cruel. If I just say I'm not going to do the same, I don't believe in this, then this it should be with you. But nonetheless, very clearly, addicts lack empathy. Someone who is more addictive, has more narcissistic me traits. We hurt people unintentionally. I'll do whatever I want, but I'm not thinking about you. I'm thinking about what I want. But then when I really take a look back, hopefully recovery has you do that, you say, oh, I wasn't even thinking about how hurt you would be. Sociopaths say, I'm going to hurt you and I don't care. And if I find out, and if you want to leave me, fine, I'll find someone else. They don't have remorse. They don't feel like I wish I had not done this or this is a bad thing. So I'm not going to diagnose this person. I don't know who they are. And even if I did, I wouldn't say it because I have to and want to hold an anonymity with people who go to the program and I'm legally responsible. So I don't know who he is and I don't know anything about it. But I will say that this feels like a freaking sociopath. He knows every single thing. You have been told every single thing. He knows what to do, how to do it, where to do it. And now he's going back to the behavior and not only gone back to it, but says a thing that is cruel and will hurt you, which is maybe it wasn't really this, maybe it wasn't really that. So Tammy said there are some who are incapable of, who are capable of healing because they don't have the
Constitutionally incapable
capacity.
of being honest with
They don't have the
themselves.
capacity to be honest.
Mhm.
And so what concerns, sorry to correct you. And so I don't know if he has the capacity or the willingness to be honest with himself or someone else. This is someone where I would say maybe it's best that you separate for a while. Maybe it's best you sit back and say, what kind of life do I want for myself? Because it's one thing to leave treatment and struggle with acting out and then, say, oh my God, I can't believe I did this and go back to the work. But this is just unforgivable in my mind. And I'm deeply sorry that you were given the hope that things would change. And now it seems like they're worse than they were. So, I can't tell people separated, but I don't know them. I don't know. And I can't say he's a sociopath, but this is
I know,
sociopath
like it's
behavior.
one of those. Yes, but I always say, look at what his actions are doing. Like that's the bottom line. I often say lips are moving is lying, but it's one of those early on. But it's one of those things where his actions are like flat out telling you he's got no interest. Oh, let's pretend it didn't happen. Like really? Like recovery is we open no honesty, open-mindedness, willingness. Those are the three key things of recovery.
Can you say that again? But can
Honesty,
you type that in there?
open-mindedness, willingness, how it works. We have a whole thing in 12 step and it's how it works. Honesty, open-mindedness, willingness. So we can learn to do those things, and then we will act into those things. But
Right.
when all of the actions are completely contrary to willingness, open-mindedness, honesty, like you've got somebody who is, I would be shocked if he's abstinent, and that would be the best I would give him is abstinence, but I would be shocked. So, okay.
And why does he want to hurt you? Why? And by the way, I have to say this. I hope that you've taken STD tests. I hope you continue to take them. And I'll say to all you spouses who really don't, he's been acting out or she's been acting out, I don't really want to know what's going on. I don't know how often. Please take an STD test. Make sure you have safe sex. I have had many a client who gave his spouse whatever it was. They didn't mean to. They were so busy trying to hide what they had done And maybe they even found out something and they didn't want to tell you. So please, please, and I know it's embarrassing and I know it's humiliating. You don't have to go to your family doctor. You can go to an anonymous clinic or someone else. But please, please, if your spouse is not able to take care of you or willing to, please take care of yourself. Um, God, the time goes by so quickly. Let's keep going.
Keep going. Okay, so this one's at 5:14. When you talk about lying and you talk about them pretending and doing all the things that look like recovery and figuring out how to please us, but it being phony, sponsoring, running a 12-step meeting, etc. Why do you think a betrayed partner should ever consider staying? Like, first of all, you don't have to. I'm gonna lead off on this one, but here's the deal. There's a difference between the phony, and I think partners, you've been lied to and gaslit and everything else, but the shifts, there's a difference between lip service, you know. In 12 step, we talk about, walking the walk, not just talking the talk. There's a difference between what I say and what I do. And if you're seeing the lips are saying all the right things, but the actions aren't, they're not showing up, you know, at first it feels really phony. It's really hard. It's very different. We're looking to, but over time, again, why recovery, real recovery is 2 to 5 years. You will see it's not just my recovery work. This is integrated. I am congruent. I work really hard at truth telling. I've told Dr. Rob this. If he said, like, do you like my shirt? And I didn't like his shirt, I would say, I can understand why you would like that. Because I can't go, yeah, I like it. I won't do it, even if it would make his feelings
Well, you can't
feel
say
better.
I don't like it.
No,
Right.
I wouldn't say anything to be hurtful, but I also
Right.
wouldn't say, I'm not going to just go, yeah, I like that shirt.
Oh, right. Okay, I agree
No,
with
I'm going to
that.
say, I can understand why you would like it. And I probably could understand why he would like it. It just doesn't, like, it's not my thing. It doesn't matter. But like I am, so it's the opposite. The longer we're in recovery, and lying was part of my stuff in addiction. So if I'm lying, I'm leaning towards the addiction, and I don't want to do that. Like, that would be a slippery slope for me. So I work really hard at being congruent and not being not lying about, like, I was at a grocery store and something accidentally didn't ring up. So guess what? I go back and
Mm-hmm.
get it fixed. Like, it's important. It was a stupid little thing too. It was a couple bucks. It didn't really matter, and it really mattered. So
But
we
not for the
learn.
store. It mattered for your
No,
own
no,
peace of
no.
mind.
Like the store,
Right.
yeah. No, it was about me. Like, that'd be stealing, even if it's unintentional. So it's one of those things where if we're doing the real recovery work, I really believe we'll start to see it. But guess what? If you're taking care of you and you have your internal boundaries and your healthy boundaries, you're gonna take care of you, and you're gonna see what we're doing and not doing, how our actions show up. That's a better gauge to you than what we say. And cheering me. Yeah, I've seen lots. I've been around long enough. I've seen lots of people that I go, shouldn't be chairing a meeting. That's my judgmental self. But I go, no, exactly where he needs to be, or she, this is where you need to be. And you know what? Good for me to practice patience and be nurturing and helpful, to someone else. So it's a journey. Thoughts on
I want
that?
to ask her, I'm going to be a therapist for a
Okay.
minute, which is you asked the question, why do you think a betrayed partner should ever consider staying? Why are you staying? Why are you considering staying? Because every single partner is different and every single partner has different reasons. And people stay under all kinds of circumstances or they don't. Only you know why you are staying. And I think that's a good question you need to ask for yourself rather than me or anyone else, as smart as I am, as good as our programs are. Um, the smart has come through a lot of hard lessons, I have to say. But nonetheless, why would you stay? Why are you there? What does relationship mean to you? Why are you holding on to hope? What does that mean to you? This isn't a question that everyone can answer because it's very, why do you love this person? You know, uh, I was told, I said this before. I said to my husband 25 years just recently, I was like, oh my God, I'd done something, whatever I did that was horrible to him or somebody, whatever it was. And I was just filled with shame. I can't believe I did this. I can't believe. And I turned to him and said, why would you love me? And he said, why would you be with me? He said, 'Cause I love you. And so, you know, I can't tell you whether you should or should not. I do think that what is important is your happiness and your peace of mind. And if being there brings you or has the hope for happiness and peace of mind, it's probably a good reason to stay. And if it's bringing you nothing but misery and unhappiness and fear, maybe you shouldn't stay. But it's about, you have to ask yourself that question. I wanted to say something else, which is really important for the addicts to hear, and it's always important for me to say, is I will always, the addicts like to say, well, that's my addict. That's the addict part of me. Once I get rid of that addict, or the addict's over here and the rest is me over there, you're one person. I am one person. I have the capability to lie, to cheat, to gaslight, to do what I want, put you aside, to make be air. I will always have that part of me. And this whole thing about 12-step programs, all that, it's a reminder. It is a constant lesson that I have the ability, because I could prove in it, to do all those horrible things. And I could do them again. But why I go to these groups on a regular basis all the time is it reminds me that I don't want to, that I choose to not be that person, that I cannot delve into those parts of me. Because you take the addiction piece out of it. I lie, I cheat, I dismiss, I do whatever I want to, and I don't care. I don't even want to notice how it hurts you. There are many negative things that I did in recovery and when I was acting out, and they're still inside. I am still capable of doing all those things, and I choose on a daily basis to not live that way and to involve myself in situations that remind me why I don't want to do that and who I want to be. And what Tammy said is absolutely true about, I want to tell my bathrobe story, but I don't have time to. Are we going to have one more question? Otherwise,
We're going to do one more question.
Well, then I won't tell you my bathroom
the
story. And they're all going to write and say, what is this bathroom story? So I'm going to say, Tammy,
you can talk it next week. You can start with that one.
Talk to next week.
So my partner has refused to have a dual session, 517, with my therapist and his. His therapist has mentioned it twice. I'm very frustrated. I have let his therapist know that I am willing. I am frustrated. So I'm going like, that's data for you. Like that is huge data for you on his honesty, open-mindedness, and willingness. That we talk about conjoint therapy, love conjoint therapy. That is, it is the most, I won't get it. There's
conjoint
research.
Means
it's really, yes, both therapists and both of you. That is really super helpful. So this feels like he's, your partner is hiding something. That's the only thing you can read in this is, I'm hiding something. I don't want you to know. I don't want like you. So what is your boundary about this? What is the goal? If your goal is to have a healthy relationship, how is his refusing to do this work together? And I'm really curious what else he's doing, because if he's going to 12-step and doing some other things, he may be one of the guys that's going, yeah, I'm doing great, I'm doing fine, and not really being honest. So, but to me, betrayed partner, this is a lot of information. I don't blame you for being frustrated. I would also be, I would be so disappointed that this person is not willing to prioritize, getting help so that we can work on healing the relationship. So, but that's like massive data for you. It's hard because it's like Dr. Rob talks about, feelings are not facts. And it goes into, I feel so frustrated. I feel so angry. I feel whatever. Yes. And if you can take it up to the 10,000 foot level, that's data. It helps because now I can look at this with my thinking part of my brain and go, he's giving me all kinds of data about what he's willing to do and not do. A person in real recovery is going to go, yes. And I'm going to schedule the appointment because it's that important to me that we do this, because I want to be able to move the relationship forward.
Right.
That's recovery.
Yeah, I agree. If my goal as an addict is to help you feel more trusting, to help you understand that I want you to start believing in me. If I want you to believe in me, then I'm going to take every step I can that is healthy, that is I'm going to take every step I can especially in a therapeutic situation, to meet your expectations, to ask you to meet my expectations. Why not? Why not? And Tammy, I question you, what's going on? Now, if you tell me something as a therapist, I can't tell anyone else. So I can't call you and say this is going on, spouse, or that's going on. If we're in the room and the four of us, it's a very different set of circumstances because you've invited me to come in. So I agree with Tammy. Something just feels not right about this, and no one's going to tell you what's not right about it, except unless you're in that room. I also, he's refused. His therapist mentioned twice. I don't know what to say about this. All I can say is that there are only two things that would come out of this session. Either things get worse or they're going to get better. And you would be at more peace and you believe it would be better. It looks like both the therapists feel that it wouldn't be better. Your husband doesn't. That really makes me question his motivations, his honesty, and just being fair. I did this for all these years and did whatever I did. And now you want to set that. And by the way, just to say it, yes, our therapy is personal. It's private. What goes on between me and that client is between us. I can't talk about it. I can't do anything about it. But if I encourage you to do something and you say, I don't think it's a good idea, that's fine. That's up to you. You don't have to follow what I have to say. And I can't tell anyone what to do. But you're asking him to do something that you believe would improve your relationship with two professionals in the room. What reason could he possibly have for saying no? And I would be thinking about that. But even more than that, how do I feel? You said frustrated. You're in a situation where your spouse is okay with your being frustrated in a situation where you simply don't have to be. Oh, I know what I was going to say to you guys. It is not, I can't talk to you as a therapist. You can leave me messages. You can ask to come into my therapy. It is not, especially in addiction, it isn't this sacrosanct. It isn't this, it's just us and you're in my private life and my private therapy. And, it is the goal is to regain trust. And I'm not saying that I want my therapist to review everything I've ever done, everything I want to said, but it sounds like there are questions you need to ask and things you need to work on, and you're not being given the opportunity. And I would be frustrated and I would be disappointed and I'd be hurt because it would mean I'm not coming first in this relationship. And I really, really don't like that. Okay, I'll tell the story later, Tammy.
Okay. I will see you next week.
Nice to
Thanks,
see you
everyone.
guys.
Come
Bye
join
for
us
now.
again next week. Bye.